What are the biggest things coming to DFW? In this video, we're going to be talking Universal Studios, build-to-rent communities, and Fort Worth short-term rental regulations. Hi, I'm Keela McGraw, your favorite DFW realtor, and we've spent a lot of time highlighting things that you should know if you're thinking of relocating to the DFW area. In our new Coming to DFW series, we will begin highlighting news around DFW that caught our eye that we want to share with you so that you can become more informed about things real estate related or just things that could affect you if you live in particular areas. Simply put, these are things to note if you are considering moving to the DFW area. So let's start with something that really has the whole Metroplex buzzing, and that is, of course, Universal Studios coming to Frisco, Texas. So Frisco, Texas, we've done a video about Frisco, Texas before that we would love for you to check out. One more huge reason why people gravitate towards Frisco. So the big news now is that it is official. The city council has voted and Universal is going to be building a theme park in Frisco, Texas. Universal Parks and Resorts, they're going to build a one-of-a-kind theme park specifically targeting families with younger children, and of course it's going to be in Frisco. It's part of 97 acres of land that was recently purchased by the company. They're proposing the park also has plans for an adjacent themed 300-room hotel and room for expansion. So of course, with a project of this magnitude, you're going to hear a lot of buzz from neighbors or people who live in or around Frisco, specifically around that Universal theme park. So I thought it was interesting that they did a traffic impact analysis to see kind of like how this theme park is going to affect traffic in Frisco. And if you've been to Frisco, it's already pretty congested. So I can see this being an area of concern. So they did this analysis, and based on this analysis, there would be 4 times fewer the amount of traffic compared to a mixed-use development. So of course, this is slanted more towards, hey, this is Universal, we're bringing business, but it's not going to overwhelm the roadways with traffic. According to the traffic report, there is an estimated 7,600 projected daily trips with the Universal project, as opposed to 28,000 projected daily trips for a mixed-use development at that location. So that's a big difference. So Universal saying like, hey, us being here is actually going to bring less traffic than if you would have built a mixed-use kind of development here. It was also reported that the amount of daily trips projected for a Saturday at the amusement park, which obviously is going to be a big day, Saturdays and Sundays or weekends, is 14,880, while if there was a mixed-use development there, it'd be around 12,648 daily trips. So yes, on average, Universal's probably going to have less traffic than a mixed-use development. But at the end of the day, it is going to impact residents. It's going to impact the roadways, but the positive could be more revenue for the city. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So next we have to talk about the build-to-rent communities that are popping up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In fact, there are 2 different developments that are being looked at in the area of Fort Worth. One is a 300 build-to-rent unit development that is going to be in Southwest Fort Worth off of Granbury Road. There's another build-to-rent development that is in the works or being talked about that is in North Fort Worth, and it's actually a 55-acre site. Now, with these build-to-rent developments, it's pretty eye-opening, especially with us being realtors, to look at this and think like, these are big companies investing a lot of money to build communities that are rent-only. You cannot purchase a house there. Now, as realtors, we know that there is a housing shortage. So this kind of does fill that void or that need for housing. However, we believe strongly in home ownership. So this does kind of create that middle ground for people who don't want to quite be in an apartment. They don't want to be in necessarily a standalone home with all that comes with it. It's kind of that middle of the road where you're renting, but you're renting a unit. These are kind of like townhomes. It just kind of depends on what the developments have decided for that particular area, but it's housing, and we are in the middle of a housing shortage. So for us personally, we love the idea of the rental communities that are popping up, and we still think that that is just one step closer, hopefully, to people being able to see what home ownership looks like and take that next step to purchase a home. But we want to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on these build-to-rent communities? Would you want one near your house? Would you be open to the idea of exploring this as an option? Would love to know your thoughts on these. I do think we are going to see more of them, so stay tuned to that. And last, we're going to talk about Fort Worth short-term rental regulations. So recently, Fort Worth has laid out the new rental regulations that they have on short-term rentals. It's a whole list of things, guys, but I will start with saying they are going to require those short-term rentals to be registered, which I think is a great idea. However, I'm curious to see how they're going to regulate those that don't register because we all know that there's going to always be some rogue ones out there that are trying to beat the system and not have to pay. But with this registration, they have to pay $150 for an initial registration fee, and then the yearly renewal is $100 a year. Not horrible. I mean, if you're making a decent amount of income from these short-term rentals, that is not a big deal. What is a big deal is they are enforcing a hotel tax. So that does kind of affect everybody's bottom line that does have these short-term rentals. Some of the other regulations or rules that are part of this ordinance is it must be a minimum stay of 1 night. There cannot be more than one group allowed to inhabit the property at a time. So you can't have multiple families in there. It has to be just one group. You can't have any parties. And then you also have to have whoever owns the Airbnb or the short-term rental must have someone that is on call and available to service any issues or concerns. And that does not necessarily have to be the owner. It can also be someone that is kind of like a property manager. So these are some interesting times when it comes to Fort Worth rentals. Looking at the short-term rental market, we're starting to see Fort Worth is looking a lot more like some of the other cities that are issuing these ordinances, trying to get a handle on these short-term rentals. About 3 weeks ago, there was actually a shooting that happened as a result of some residents or some visitors staying in a short-term rental in Plano. And the shooting happened across the street, I believe, and it actually, bullets grazed a young child's playroom. So that's scary. I mean, I personally, as a homeowner, would not want short-term rentals across the street from me or next door to me. Some of the short-term rental advocates are preaching that, hey, we're bringing some value to your neighborhood by keeping these homes up and not letting them be run down and things like that, but at what cost, you know, if it's not being regulated, if you're allowing guests to cause harm or bring some unsafe situations to the neighborhood. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what these short-term rental regulations and rules that Fort Worth has put into place. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Do you think they absolutely need to happen? What are your thoughts? So have any questions about what we've talked about in this video or relocating to the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Give me a call, text, or email, and we will see you in the next video.